Hello, my name is Shantae Surreal.
And I'm Devon Surreal. We're your host of Just Don't Break. And thank you for tuning in this week, taking your time out of your busy day to listen to us, whether you're on, seeing us on video on YouTube or hearing us on your podcast streaming apps, such as such as Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your local podcast, we're there. So we plan to be consistent and hopefully we can hit the topics that y'all want to hear the most. If you have any comments, drop them down in the comment section. Let us know what you want us to talk about. But again, I'm Devon Surreal. A little bit about me. I'm like a jack of all trades. I've done a little bit of everything from real estate to teaching to mental health to chaplaincy. So
We're sharing our careers.
yeah, we've been around the block. What do you do?
What block you been around?
I don't know. I've been around a couple blocks.
Well, I am a registered nurse. So I'm in the medical.
RN?
I'm done.
Oh, BSN. Let them know.
I'm a registered nurse. I work in an emergency room. So that's where I spend a lot of my time at, saving lives.
Okay.
All right, so our first topic we're just going to talk about today is hard times just don't last.
Yep. And it can feel kind of tough because sometimes when you're going through hard times, it feel like it's just not going to end. Whether whether those struggles are financially, whether they're mentally, whether they're just, you just feel like you're in a rut. But, we're here to, just share our experiences, share real life, and just let you know you can get through anything, especially if you keep your mind focused, keep your faith in God,
Don't quit.
just don't break, And you can bend, and life is going to bend you at times. There's going to be moments where, like, man, I feel like I don't got another ounce in me. I can't do this any longer. I can't keep going. But you gotta have enough fortitude just to know that you can make it, you can keep going, and just see the thing to the end.
Right. Okay, what's that?
What you got?
What I have. So one topic we're going to talk about is what do you do when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel?
And sometimes you can be just grinding and like, man, I don't see when this thing is gonna end. I don't know when the season is gonna be over. It's interesting. Sometimes we get into a season of doing something and we know the specific end date. So like maybe you're going to school, and a lot of times a lot of people's hardest semester is that last semester or the semester before last, because it's like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you're not quite there yet.
Right.
But sometimes you're dead smack in the middle of a season and you're just like, man, I don't know how's it going to end.
Or like our season where we just kind of somewhat experienced and kind of somewhat still in, where we felt like everything was just smooth and grooving along, and then it was like bam, out of nowhere. We got hit with a lot of like finances problems, and we were like, what is going on? What happened? It's just like we got punched, like didn't even know what was going on. So sometimes
it's like that. It's like, especially when you're going through a season that you felt like you've been through before, and it's like, man, like, I thought I beat this level. It's like playing a video game.
We was not going to have to go through this again, and here we are.
And it'd be, different levels, but the same devils.
Right.
So it's like you trying to stay focused, keep your feet on the path, but it still can be challenging or discouraging when you're going through it.
Right.
And it's like that's when you truly gotta lean on one another, lean on your faith, and just like how do I grind through this? How do I make through this? Like,
and sometimes you have to just switch up what you're doing. Like when we were just going through our finances situation, I was at one job and had to switch to another job. So, and he had to switch and do some stuff too, because you have to get through it. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and it may not be a job or a position you want to do, but it's only temporary until you get through the season.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's like, I remember hearing a message, and one of the message in this word was like, take inventory. And one of the most important things to do when you're going through any type of season of challenge is you take an inventory. Like, what do I need? What I don't need?
Right.
Like, what's holding me? Like, because, like, some things don't bother you in certain seasons. Like, I got, you may have it going on with your finances. I don't need to, cut back on Netflix or Hulu or, I don't need to do this, that.
Let me tell you, I cancel all those unnecessary subscriptions. I had all this stuff like literally on renewal.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need this app. Let me take that off. Definitely don't need that.
Let me start meal prepping.
I'm down to like one subscription now, and I done had like at least 5 or 6, and I done cancel all of them because I'm like, I really don't need that. And it makes you change your perspective, like you said, on what you really need.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. I even downloaded an app. I remember I downloaded this app called Rocket Money, and it's supposed it's aimed to like cancel all your subscriptions, especially the ones you ain't using. Like, man, I didn't even realize I was paying on that. So like taking inventory, because that's big, and it's not just in finances. It could be with relationships. It could be with friends. You'd be like, am I carrying this relationship?
Right.
Am I putting forth more effort than they're putting forth? Mm-hmm. Or it could just, it could be a job. It could be anything. Like, am I really giving God the time he needs? Am I praying? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Because, these seasons, when things get tough, you got to figure out where's the excess fat that you can cut off. Mm-hmm. Or it could literally be in your diet. Like, am I going to cut these sweets out?
Right. We be meal prepping now. We like literally cook and eat at home Monday through Friday, and sometimes it's stretched to the weekend. Literally, even for the kids, I meal prep for them too because they be wanting to eat out every day of the weekend. That's not happening.
Mm-hmm. They think, McDonald's money or Chick-fil-A money or Chipotle money. They think it just literally
where these kids
goes.
Get Chipotle from?
Oh my God, they bougie, And the dollar menu, and times have changed. There ain't no such thing as the dollar menu. And that 4 for $4 is a 6 for $4. So it's like, you see the inflation, you see how times are changing, and you really got to adjust your perspective, and you got to adjust, your mindset just to match so that you don't lose track of, what God is giving you to manage.
Right. Yep.
And most importantly is time.
Yeah. All right. So our next bullet point is to keep working. Don't focus on your situation. So, yes, that means just keep pressing, basically. Try not to let the situation scare you or discourage you.
Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed and be like, man, I got to do this, that. But when you can really map it out, like, all right, this is what I can do, because you only got 24 hours in a day. Like, this is what I'm going to do today, or this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. And that's what I'm going to do the next day. Take it one day at a time. Like, the way I remember hearing this the saying, how do you bite a bull? And the way you bite a bull is one bite at a time. You can't swallow everything whole. You can't Rome isn't built in a day. Right. You really got to take your time and just take it one day at a time. Like, let me just tack one issue at a time.
And it's just important not to rush too, because you don't want to make a mistake. Like, you're going through this season. This is what you don't want to do. Repeat a season that you're going through. You don't have to go through it again. Yeah. So take your time, assess your situation, and just take it a day at a time.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, it's like repeating grades. It's like, you I don't know if you ever been left back, but all your friends done moved on, and you like, man, I'm still in the same grade. Right. And the teacher, I'm still dealing with the same teacher. And God will give you some tests over. So it's like it's important to pass it on the first go round.
Right.
Not to try to cut corners here and there, but just go through it. Go through the season.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to success is just on the other side.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever seen one of them pictures, and it's like a guy, he's digging for gold, digging for diamonds. And it's like he's tunneling the underground and he's chipping away, and he like really success is really just, it's almost there for him. But he turns around and gives up. So there's a picture, and that picture is usually 2 guys. There's one that's almost there and one that keeps going. Mm-hmm. So sometimes your successful moments in life, your biggest successes is just when you just don't quit.
Right.
It's not that you saw, it's not that you saw how everything was going to play out. And sometimes God will give you like a vision of things, but to a certain degree, it's almost like, man, I don't know whether this is going to work out or not. But if you just keep putting your left foot in front of your right foot,
right.
you'll find success. Sometimes it's just by not giving up, by not quitting. Don't break.
Yes, don't break. Keep pressing. Yes, and don't get discouraged. Yes. Yeah.
Can you give an example? What you got? What was the time where you just didn't quit?
I would say school. When I first went to nursing school, that was a challenge.
Really?
I had to go through school 3 times, and it was the 3rd time when I finally actually went through the entire program. The second time, I got all the way there, almost there, and then had to start all over again. And during that time was when we had David, and I just took that season just to sit back and reflect. And then as he got a little older, I was like, well, if I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna have to go do it. I need to go do it now. And I went straight on through, didn't stop. I mean, it was a lot of people who was just discouraging people, especially if you were in nursing school or any type of testing type stuff. Other people anxiety will wear off on you. And after exams, people be talking about the exams, and I'm like, did I put that? You start second guessing yourself, knowing that I study and put in my hard work, but it's what other people, sometimes what they are going through, it just rubs off. So
could you, on your third go round, could you see yourself and other people, like where you were the first and second?
Yes, I definitely did. I could definitely see it. Yeah, I remember my first time. I was nervous. I didn't know. And then one thing is important, just to rely on your own instincts. Just have faith in what you know. Because I would start, the first time around, I would like copy what other people was doing, study how they study. It wasn't until the 3rd time around where I realized I learned best by listening. Like I would record myself reading, and then I would play it back. And that's how I was able to retain the information. I didn't know that the first 2 times. And the second time I went on through with like A's, went on to my BSN and was on Dean's list. So that's how I learned. So you have to, assess yourself and see what helps you.
Learning about yourself.
Yes.
That's so crucial and so key, because it's like, when you don't know, it's just like you just trying every little door.
That's what I was doing. I was like, flashcards. That didn't work. I had like a ton of flashcards. It didn't help me at all. And literally, I would just get our recorder and just hit record and just kept reading the chapters. And I would just be at work, listening to it in my ear, and then go on and ace the test the next day.
So your second time, you were almost there, like, and then you go through this heartbreak, and it's like,
yeah.
Like, how did you gather up enough strength to start?
I don't even know.
Over again?
How old was David? He was, I don't know, was he like 3 or so? He was like 2 or 3 so that might have been like a 2-year break or so. 2 or 3 year break, and I was like, I think I can do this. I just had to say, I just need to go do it now if I'm going to do it. Yep. And I even when applying for schools, I was very discouraged because I was like, am I going to get into that? You remember how I was
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a good school. And it's like I kind of was like limiting myself. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, if that person get in, why can't I get into? So I just applied to all the schools that I wanted to go to. And got into the school that was actually affordable.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have no loan debt for real at this school. So that was another blessing.
And that's something key to hone in on, because it's like sometimes we forget, if God can do it for them, why can't he do it for you? So seeing, and that's why sometimes it's important. That's why God is trying to push you to not quit in this season, because you're going to be that, that light. You're going to be that beacon of hope for somebody else that's seeing you do it and be like, you know what, I can make it through. We facing some of the similar challenges, and it's like, if he or she can make it through, then I can make it through.
Right.
Like sometimes, like in real estate, I've seen so many people have success, and it's like, man, if they can do it, I can do it. So it's like, it's just not quitting. It's just just keep grinding, keep doing the things that that works, and staying like committed to those things.
It's commitment. I was like getting up early. Remember, I had to drive. I had to commute. That third time was rough. And now I look back at it like we were living in Newport News. I was driving in to school in Petersburg and working at the VA in Richmond. So I was literally going back and forth, like for like, I don't know, 18 months or so. Yeah. It was rough for clinicals too. I had to do that, and it's like I think I worked like every weekend, and then had school during the week, and had a toddler. So, but it was all worth it, and I just kept focused. I didn't really look at like what was going on. People was like, "You drive that far?" I'm like, "Yeah." It didn't really occur to me till like I look back at it, like, man, I really was commuting for school and work for a good while. But I just stayed focused on that. Just kept pushing.
Yeah, no, that's real, because sometimes it's so hard to, like, when you're knee deep in it, you don't even think about it. It's like, when you want it bad enough, like the obstacles, the small obstacles don't matter. But sometimes it's when you're repeating that season again, it's like, oh, why am I going through this? Especially a lot of times when God's trying to bring you higher in a situation, it's like he'll bring you lower to build you back up again. It's almost like a rebuilding phase. But they're going through that rebuilding process. It's like, man, I gotta go through this again. Like, but everybody else is here, and my peers are doing this, and it's like, why do I gotta go down to go up? But that's a process of humility. That's the process of God refining you and building character. Sometimes it's the process that God wants you to go through, so that you can handle the success that He has on the other side.
Even if you're repeating a season, just I guess remember what you went through the last time, and just learn from what your mistakes were. So like just learn from it and just know not to repeat those things, because that's kind of like what I did. I was like, okay, this didn't work that time. Let me try something else. So whatever you did last time, that didn't work. That's why you're going through it again. So learn from it and then just try something else and keep trying until you find out what works and what's going to get you through. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Is that it for that one? And I think the last one, sorry, my phone is like jacked up. So what's the last topic?
The last one was
focus on the things that matter.
Yeah.
I think I need a whiteboard.
Focusing on the things that matter. Sometimes it's so easy to get distracted by the things that don't really matter. It's like we live in this world, we live in this society, and it's like, the bills may be jumping off the screen for you, and it's like, oh man, I gotta deal with this, I gotta do that, this, that, and the third. But you gotta really hone in on the things that matter, and sometimes those are just family, just your relationship with God. Like some of the things that you're going through it's not nothing that's uncommon, that's never been heard before, it's never been seen before. If you hold tight to the things that truly matter, it puts life in perspective. It's like, well, money might be tight, but at least I'm still healthy.
I would say, like, when I was going to school the third time, we didn't really go anywhere, and we like to travel. Like, literally, I was focused on school, work, and my family, and that was it. I didn't go anywhere. I went to school, went to work, came back home. We did stuff like together on the weekend. People was like taking trips. I just focused on trying to finish this degree and spend time with my family. That was all that mattered for like literally 18 months. Like, we didn't do anything at all. So it's important to not look at what other people are doing. Like, oh, they traveling. Like, they doing this. Focus on yourself so you can eventually get there, but don't rush yourself into getting there if you're, especially if it's not your time.
Yeah. You got to put blinders on. And it's like, and it keeps you from looking into other people's lane. Let me stay tunnel vision. Let me focus on my lane, what I know God is telling me to do. Because the moment you start looking at the lane to your left or the lane to your right, that comparison becomes the killer of joy. It's like, the process, even though it might be rough, even when you're going through the fire, you might not want to be in it, but it's supposed to build something, and you're supposed to leave you with some type of character that makes you appreciate when you finally do get to the end of that season.
Right.
But if you constantly focused on, what this person is doing, trying to keep up with the Joneses, it really just takes you back.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's a compounding effect. It's like you gotta appreciate the small things.
Yeah.
You gotta focus on what truly matters. You gotta keep yourself healthy. You gotta, keep your faith strong. Those are the things. If you have good health, if you have your relationship with your family, keep those things strong, because all that other stuff, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah.
The houses, the cars, those are the things that God will add on to you. But it's like, if you don't keep the relationship with Him, it's like, then it's like you lose perspective on everything.
Right. Yeah.
So, building your mindset and building your relationship on the foundation of God, it really helps keep everything in perspective. Like, you don't lose focus of what truly matters and what can wait, what you can put off for a little while. Like, you know what? I'll do that at another time. Yeah. Stuff like that.
You know what I thought about?
What?
Like us, like how it took us a while to get to a house that we actually built. You remember how we did like a rent to own?
Yeah. We did do
ever.
Yeah.
Wasn't a good experience, but that was the season.
Yeah, I remember that. The guy wanted to sell it to us, and it was like, but he didn't want to do anything.
Then we ended up going to court.
They tried to sue us over, I'm talking about like $500-$600. And really, we left the house in great condition.
Right. That was the season. And then after that, I think we stayed with your dad. We had a lot of seasons. It took us a while. Like this house, when did we move into this house? Like
2020?
2020. So
the end of 2020?
Yeah, we always wanted to get a house built, but it took us a while to get here. Like I said, we had to go through that situation. Mm-hmm. We stayed in, was it townhomes or apartments? Yeah. Then we stayed with family like twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And this wasn't our first home, so it was like this our third home, really. Yeah. So there was times where, there was seasons where we stayed with family, there's seasons where family stayed with us, but it all kind of worked together. So it was like, it's just going through that process. It was rough.
It was rough.
So it's like, also just being appreciative, because it's like, we never looked down on family when they needed, a place to stay, and they didn't do the same thing when we needed a place to stay. So it's like, just keeping relationships strong and staying strong, even though when you're not in a season where you want to be, it's like, man, I don't want to be here. But at the same time, you had to make it work. So it's like your family's growing, but at the same time, it's like you need the space. So it's like,
too, yes.
Yeah. But God will tell you, teach you how to take care of the small things. Like, if I'm, if I'm plotting on a car, or, am in need of a car, it's like, if you currently have one, you got to take care of those things.
Right.
Or you got to do the things in preparation. Like maybe you're getting your license. So, you do all the things to prepare for the blessing that God is getting ready to give you.
Right.
Because if you don't make preparations for it, it's like, how is God going to even give you what you're asking for if you haven't really even prepared for it?
Right.
So those are the things that's important to remember.
Yeah.
And most importantly is like keeping your relationship with God. So it's like, how do I put God first? Am I praying in the morning? Am I doing the little things? If I hear a word from Him, am I actually acting on it, or is it taking me days, months, weeks, whatever?
So it's to the side.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. A lot of times we treat God like that. I'm gonna get to it, and then get frustrated when God does the same. Well, I'm gonna get to it when you actually get your mind together.
When I hear something from God, I write it down immediately, because especially as you get older, I be forgetting stuff. Let me write this down. I will get to it, but let me at least write it down, because sometimes you won't remember it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't remember it till it's too late. You might remember when I told you to do X, Y, Z. Or you'll see somebody with the idea that God gave you. Like, they starting the podcast that God told you to start already. So it's like, you just gotta stay focused, stay grounded. Don't get too high on your own self. Don't get too high on, whatever season God has you in, because it's so easy to have to repeat a season. But, those are the things that, we learned. Those are the things that we taken in. We thank y'all for tuning in. This is episode 1 of Just Don't Break. We're hoping to keep this going. We're hoping to be consistent. If you have any topics that y'all want us to hit, please drop a comment. Please give us a like. Please subscribe. Please tune in. Yes.
Said everything. Please.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time then.
All righty, guys. Thank you.